We are in the building. Welcome back to Art Talk with your art instructor Kevalone. And you are in the Art Attack studio right now. Live. If you're on Twitter, you're live right now. Today in Art Talk, we're going to do a little art and talk about Lilwayne. Or Weezy. Weezy F Baby. Now Weezy or Tunchi recently there was a shooting scare in Atlanta at a concert of his. And what I saw on TMZ, Tunchi was running out with the whole crowd. It's like he didn't even take his time down the stairs. He busted up out that joint. When you know, it was supposed to be like a shooting or something. But from what I hear from sources, it was a hoax or some kind of misunderstanding. Like a security guy, and I'm not sure, this is allegedly now, because I wasn't there, but the security guy pulled out a taser on someone. There was a fight, alright, and they pulled out a taser on somebody, and the taser apparently looked like a gun, so people started tripping and running. And you know, all you have to do is say the word gun in a crowd and you could cause mass hysteria. People will start running and protecting themselves, hiding, you know, doing everything, you know, to get away from the situation. Okay? Now, Weezy apparently was one of these people. He was trying to get out of there. Okay? And I can't blame him a little bit because of all of the stuff that's been going on with him, you know, and with Cash Money Records and things like that, you know, Birdman and everything. Now, people believe that Birdman is sabotaging Weezy. And since he won, you know, the lawsuit recently, which we're going to go into a little bit, he basically, you know, is angry and he's disgruntled, he's kind of salty about it, that Weezy won. Now before Weezy won, they were real tight a little bit, they were a lot tighter, you know, and I'm going to show you in this conversation that we're having about Weezy, okay? I'm going to show you how tight they were. You know, because Weezy stayed with Birdman and Cash Money in spite of a lot of things, you know. And there were shootings at his bus and all that stuff, you know, fairly recently, like a few years ago or something like that, a couple of years ago. And people think that was Birdman that set Weezy up to be shot at. And he hired people to shoot at him. Now, allegedly, that's allegedly. Now, also allegedly, there was a conversation between Birdman and the guy, the shooter, regarding the pay for him shooting him. And people say that, you know, the guy was asking for his money from Birdman, and Birdman was telling him, well, come get your money, you know, and stuff like that. So, that supposedly is a released phone conversation. Now I don't know for sure if, you know, if it's real, that conversation or not. I didn't check that out. I don't follow everything in social media because some things I don't believe and it just doesn't make sense, you know. But yeah, they say that there was a conversation with Birdman and the shooter. And they actually were, you know, discussing when he could get his money. You know, so Now these are, of course, his famous fronts. Alright? And I'm not gonna do them right now, but later these will be blinged out. So if you ever buy this painting, and you can buy any of these paintings in the Art Talk series by emailing me at kevalone@gmail.com. Alright? Now, and we can work it out. Now back to Weezy. In November 1998, alright, he was signed to Cash Money Records. Alright, that's when they made their deal back in 1998. And that deal stood for a while with Weezy and Cash Money and Universal Music Group. Okay? And Cash Money, of course, is Birdman. And that was in 98, and it was renegotiated several times. And that's according to all public records, and also Complex. Everybody, knows about that. He renegotiated his contract several times with Birdman. And when you look at it, in 2005, he renegotiated his contract, and that was for increased royalties. And that was for additional albums also, that contract. Now, I don't know how many additional albums that was, but he had increased royalties, and that was 6 months after the Carter was released, okay? That was back in 2005. Alright? Now, 2006, he renegotiated again with Cash Money and Universal Records, right? For higher advances. He wanted higher advances in exchange for duets on the label. And I guess it was with people on the label. So he agreed to do these duets. And that was several months after the Carter 2. Alright? So maybe that explains why they did Like Father Like Son that year. Not long after that agreement was made. That's when they dropped the Like Father Like Son thing with Birdman, him and Birdman on it, okay? We're going to work on his tats a little bit, because Weezy definitely has a lot of face tats. Alright? Now, 2008, in June, the Carter 3 completed his, original contract from 1998. That's what people say. According to legend, that's what happened. That completed his 98 contract, alright? So he was kind of getting ready to be a free agent at that point. Now, the balance he owed at that point in 1998, in June 2008, from that 1998 contract, he owed 4 solo albums and 1 duet album. Alright? Now, in 2009, he renegotiated again with Cash Money. Alright? And Cash Money agreed to pay him a $10 million advance. Alright? For his solo albums. $8 million when he started recording, and then an additional $2 million when he completed the recordings. That's a good deal, though. That's a good deal if somebody pays you. If somebody willing to pay you, that's a great deal. Alright? And, it makes you wonder at this point, right? Was he getting paid? And when did these transgressions occur or start with Birdman? When did Birdman stop paying him? Or did he ever pay him? Okay? Now, Weezy's getting older, so we're going to show it right here. It shows in the photo, in his photos, you know? So, and I posted this original photo that I'm using for this on Facebook, which is Kevalone Art Attack at Facebook, or Art Talk with Kevalone at Facebook. But it's Kevalone Art Attack is the parent page. That's the one that's, you know, the oldest on there as far as artwork and everything. We're going to cast this shadow under his nose right there. It's on the photo, so I kind of have to do it. Right? Now, so he got that deal, right? When he renegotiated, alright? That was in 2009. Now he keeps renegotiating these contracts. Keep that in mind, alright? And it makes you wonder why. And if Birdman just has game like that. Do you think Birdman just has game like that? Get in the comments below and let me know if you think Birdman just, you know, gamed him the whole time. Was he, you know, really his daddy? Was he really trying to be like his daddy and take care of him, you know, and look out for the young man on some G stuff? Or was he taking advantage of him, you know, like they did in the county jail when he was in the county jail, Birdman, for so long out of his life? You know, was he still continuing that lifestyle and using Weezy as a pawn to get rich? Was he taking advantage of him when he was a boy, or what? You know, that's the question. And you have to look at the integrity of the person when you dealing with people. But it's hard to when you're distracted by a lot of things. And I think Weezy was distracted by a lot of things when it comes to Birdman. Like the gifts. You know, Birdman gave Weezy a lot of gifts at times. They were big cars, like, you know, Phantoms and different types of cars that are very expensive cars, okay? And when you think about his deals that he made, you know, when Cash Money promised them the $2 million, and the budgeting for Young Money and all that stuff, you know, it's kind of crazy. So Wayne, you know, he went on in spite of all of that stuff. He still submitted to Carter 5 in December of 2014. Okay? Now I remember because my birthday is in December. It's December 13th, you know. And y'all remember that, alright? And when I heard that he had submitted that album, I really got like kind of excited because I wanted to hear it, okay? And the Carter 5, everybody anticipated that album. You know, there's not anybody that's in hip hop or into it that didn't know about that. And it was one of the most, you know how people anticipated Black Panther, the movie, you know, and people had heard about it prior to it coming out, and it had so much hype that, you know, people just wanted to see it. And then they had followed the book and everything. So it's history. You know, we have history with Weezy. So we wanted to see him succeed. And we also wanted to hear his latest styles and who he had on the album, you know, because it's kind of like a little bit like when Tupac would release an album. You know, it was just an event. You know, it was like an event. It was all on BET, the commercials. You know, you started seeing everything. You start seeing, you know, little ads in XXL and the Source magazine. All of those was hot back then. I don't even know if people really read magazines anymore like that because of the internet. Boom. You know, the social media and all that stuff. We're going to get his dreads together because, you know, that's his trademark. That's why he won't cut them today. I think because of, you know, that being his brand, and it has a look. And when you change the look of your brand, you take a big risk doing that. So I think he didn't want to change his look in spite of his hair and the things that's going on with him. That's why, you know, I think it's important to have this hat on him inside this piece, because not only is it in the photo, but there's a reason he rocks all these hats now constantly, and you rarely see his hair for some reason. But I know there's a reason, but you know, I'm not sure what it is. But check out his look now versus his look back in the day, and you'll see what I'm talking about, how Weezy has changed a lot, you know. But that's part of maturing and getting older, you know. Now, one thing that's supposed to change with all that and all this money and everything is your music. Your music is supposed to mature and adapt. Now, I'm going to tell you something about adaptation and what lacks in what Weezy, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is that Weezy didn't change much in his style of music. His sound didn't change much, and his rhyme delivery didn't change much. And that's what kind of had people stuck a little bit when he first started, because he kept evolving. But Weezy was young back then, so he was basically growing into what he was going to be back then. And us as consumers, as onlookers, as fans, or whatever you want to call people that listen to Weezy, because it's a unique crowd. The people that like Weezy, I think, are unique people. You know, it's a little different from other rappers. Like, you might hear Weezy songs and like them, but some people like everything that Weezy do. You know, anything that he does. And that's a fan that's, you know, a diehard, pretty much diehard fan, you know. So, now, Cash Money, they never paid him the $2 million when he released Carter 5, right? And they never paid the $8 million, okay? Birdman, Birdman ain't no joke, alright? When it comes to business, if he can, I think he's going to get you. If he can get you, he's going to get you, alright? So, anyway, allegedly, you know, that's allegedly. I'm not sure, because I've never been in business with him. But in February 2003, they launched Young Money, okay? And this was huge back then, I remember, because they had all these young artists, and it was a whole new look. They had a logo with the American flag in it and all that. You know, I'm an artist, so I was looking at the art, you know, applauding the artists that got paid for that, because that was very creative, I think. And basically, they had a deal where Cash Money, right, owned 51% of Young Money, and Lilwayne owned 49%. Now, in a deal like that, where you bring in the artist in, and you introducing these people to this artist, or these artists, they basically, you know, took advantage of him in that deal. And I don't see how he didn't see that when they getting 51%. They getting a larger cut than you off of your artist. You know, and me personally, I didn't appreciate that back then, that he signed that deal. I couldn't understand it. But again, you have to keep in mind that this is a gentleman, this young man was online in a photo allegedly kissing Birdman. He called him his daddy, okay? Now, I don't know how they felt about those photos on there, but I'm going to tell you one thing. I was watching, this is something I saw with my own eyes. I was watching 106 in Park, I think it was. And they had Cash Money on there, okay? I'm going to leave his dreads a little white. You know, because later I'm going to tighten this up like I do all those paintings on Artalked. I kind of, you know, while I'm talking, I'm kind of painting, but I'm not doing it the way, you know, with high detail, because I'm trying to not be all day or not be as long as, you know, as I can. What I'm trying to do is be as quick as I can and as brief as I can with these pieces, because I know y'all don't have all day and I don't have all day either. So now with the 51-49 split, that's kind of crazy. I just thought that was kind of wild that he would agree to something like that with Birdman, you know. And that's not Birdman's fault, in my opinion. That, and not in his defense or nothing, but just commonsensically, like, people are gonna do what you let them do to you. You know, that's on the street or, you know, anywhere. I mean, the supermarket selling food for certain prices, you're not gonna go in there and complain. You either buy it or you don't. You know what I mean? So basically, he had choices in the matter, man. Look, Weezy, he had choices in the matter, and he could have made a decision to say, well, I'm out like a scout on a new route and do something different. But he didn't choose to do that. He chose to stay with Cash Money Records, you know, and Universal Music Group and all of them, you know, in spite of how they was treating him. I'm not gonna make his lips look chapped, but he definitely needs some wrinkles in his lips or something. This for my students, you know, I'm telling them stuff too as we discussing this Lilwayne situation, okay? See, now it's starting to come together and look like him a little bit. Now that I'm going darker, as you notice, I'm going darker, and it's coming together a little bit. Now, Cash Money, when they did that deal, and they say this is the underhanded, dastardly part of the whole lawsuit that Wayne filed, and the lawsuit was for $51 million, okay, against Cash Money, all right? And that was later, like, you know, we talking like June 2015, something like that, when they filed the first suit. Alright? Now, Cash Money, what they did, they didn't split the copyright with Wayne. When they copywrote Young Money, allegedly Birdman just kept them to himself. He wrote it to, it was copywritten to just Cash Money and not Lil Wayne and Cash Money. So now he didn't have any ownership of Young Money at that point. So they cut him completely out the deal, which is totally underhanded, okay? That is totally underhanded. So what I'm saying is that that this is not the first time, though, that something has happened to him in this situation. All right? That's not the first time that they did something to him to, you know, underhandedly make him earn less in the business deal. That's not the first deal that was terrible that he did with them. So why, my question is, and if you know the answer, get in the comments and tell me. I'm going to detail his dreads a little bit more and put some wrinkles in his hat. You dig? But let me know in the comments what you think about what motivated Lil Wayne or Tunchi to keep dealing with Cash Money on that level when their money is so high stakes money. You would think he would go somewhere with himself and do a good deal with somebody, or try to fight this deal somehow, you know, back then. Alright, but they didn't split the copyright. They cut Wayne out. In 2008, the Young Money deal, the profits monthly, they were going to get profits monthly in that deal, in the 2008 deal with Young Money, and they had a $1 million Young Money budget at all times, okay? So whatever they spent or blew doing videos or traveling or any expenses, they kept a $1 million budget, or supposedly, according to the contract, they were supposed to have a $1 million budget at all times. Now, okay, that's 2008. A year later, in 2009, they signed another deal. Weezy renegotiated his contract with Birdman and Universal, and he basically extended the contract till June 2015, okay? Once Young Money was put together. Alright? Now, that's crazy. That is crazy because that was when they signed Drake. Okay? That was in 2009 when they signed Drake. And that's when, being smart like they are, Cash Money extended the deal that they had, the existing deal, to 2015. So that's like 6 years away or something, you know. Like, they don't know what's gonna happen. Weezy that wouldn't know what kind of success they were gonna experience at that point. But that's what makes it a bad deal. Like, if you had belief in Drake like that, and you knew what you were getting into as far as signing him, because he wouldn't have signed him if he didn't think he was talented and, you know, on another level. And he is. From Weezy, he's a different type of artist than Weezy. Like, you know, some people can do what other people can do, but then they have their own lane also, because they're so talented that, you know, they can go anywhere and do anything kinda that you can do, but you can't do everything they do. That's talent, you know. So that's Drake. He's set apart, you know. So Cash Money promised Wayne 1/3 of the profits that Drake made. Alright? And Cash Money failed to provide a single accounting of Drake's profits later. Now keep that in mind, that if they don't tell you what they made, you'll never know what you made, because he gets a cut of it. Or supposedly, allegedly, they kept, you know, they kept all the information to themselves. So the accountings were never submitted for Drake's profits. That's a big deal, because Weezy doesn't even know what he made off of Drake's major success that he had. He don't know if he's rich or poor off of that. Well, he knows now, but, you know, because Drake is so successful and such a powerful artist, and he solidified his career and cemented his, you know, name in hip hop and R&B. You know, he crossed over, you know. And then also, one thing about Drake that happened in his career was that people stopped caring in hip hop, and this is an important thing in hip hop, whether or not he wrote his own lyrics. You know, that was a big deal back when he was battling Meek Mills, and Meek was trying to say, well, you don't write your own rhymes, you don't deserve respect. So Meek is, in that case, in that regard, him saying that is a little old school, okay? That's a little old school. And so he represents an old school style of battling. He's an old battle rapper, you know. And he ain't old, like, years-wise or whatever, but, I mean, that style that he lived in Philly, that's an old style, like battling the way he used to do, you know, and stuff like that. And everybody in hip-hop will eternally battle. That's just the culture. That's just part of hip-hop. It's very competitive, you know. So you're supposed to battle. But I'm just saying, that's how it started. So that makes it an old thing to do, you know. So don't get in my comments tripping on that comment, because it's the truth. That's an old way of doing things. Like, now they just trying to get paid. If they battle, they trying to do it on pay-per-view. you know, they trying to build a brand where you got to pay them to battle somebody now. You know, and you got people like that, you know, that are on that level now. They not the same old battle rapper that they were back then. And he tried to do that to Drake. And he kept it the same energy as he used to back in the day. And that's corny now, man. You got to evolve into something that's further than that. You know, not knocking Meek Mills, but I think he handled that all wrong. You know, if I was his manager, he would have did that differently. I would have suggested that he do that differently, you know. And of course he would have sent his goons at me. But nevertheless, alright, Cash Money failed to provide a single accounting of Drake's profits, right? So, no 200K quarterly, none of that. No $1 million expense account from Cash Money, none of that. They not paying the Young Money artists, okay? I don't know where they got their money to buy them clothes they was wearing in that video, or those videos, you know. And I know that, you know, people like Jay Mills back then, you know, he's a New Yorker. He was signed to Young Money, I believe. And I know he had something to say about that, man. So I'm sure his artists were losing respect for him during this whole situation, okay? And actually, when you look at it, you have to really not sleep I'm sure he didn't sleep well at night, knowing how he was doing these artists. And I'm sure it was misunderstood that it was Birdman, not him, that was doing it. But as a person on the outside, even though they were artists on the inside, signed, they really on the outside of the business side of it. You know, they're not on that. So, President Carter, okay, as I like to call him, because I was really, you know, I was proud of Wayne when he was, you know, the president of the record label and all that stuff, and he was doing it big back then, you know, and he was an artist, and he was touring, and he was getting all this kind of left and right paper. You know, he was getting paper left and right back then. So I'm stuck on the old Wayne more than the new Weezy. You know, the skateboard and, you know, the new look and, you know, this thing with the hat backwards and all that, you know. I know his dreads are falling out or something, they say. I'm not sure. But if you check his edges, his hairline, it's a little different now than it used to be. And again, like I said earlier, that's part of aging. You know, you're going to age and you have to age gracefully. Now, drinking the lean and all that stuff and the seizures he had from lean, I think part of that is part of his aging process. You know, that's aiding him in aging faster, a little bit, or a lot of bit. One or the other, this is going to affect you. It's going to affect you, affect everybody. You know, it affect Mac Miller, rest in peace. It affected DJ Screw, rest in peace. It affected a lot of people. And again, a lot of people, like I said in the other video, like Mac Miller video, and you might want to check that out. It's about Mac Miller and Ariana Grande. And that's also on Art Talk with artist Kevalone on YouTube. That's my channel. So y'all go subscribe. If you like what you see in here, go subscribe. And like this video if you like it. Alright? If you don't like it, and you're still here right now listening to it, maybe you do like it. You know, maybe you like it. Alright, so anyway, not only does he have no idea what he made off Drake, right? There was none of these expense accounts were honored by them. So they breaching a contract left and right. So finally, he accuses them of breaching a contract, and they sued Young Money and Universal, and they sued for $51 million. Okay, $51 million. Now, recently, we fast forwarding to 2018 now. Recently, right, is when he finally, they won a suit against Universal Records and Cash Money Records, which is Birdman and Baby and Slim, alright? Birdman, aka Baby, and Slim, his brother, allegedly, or whatever. So, now, when they won for, all this is public information now. Y'all go check it out if you want. Don't just take my word. If you're a fan, you want to know more, go check it out. This is public information. So, they won an undisclosed amount of money, right? And you know who paid it though? Not Birdman. It was Universal. And you gotta understand that that's even more disrespectful. That, you know, Birdman didn't even pay him, you know. And, you know, they looking at Young Money and Drake and Nicki, you know, Little Twist, people like that are signed to Young Money. They looking at those artists to be earning later, so they gonna really be working hard for this bread and for his bread, you know, because I'm sure Wayne is getting paid off every move that Drake makes and that Nicki makes, and etc., all those artists. And they really gonna start, you might want to look for new Young Money music, you know, eventually down the line. I'm sure they kind of getting these artists together and getting them, you know, in line to do some things, some albums, some collaborations and different things so that they can promote their brand. Alright? But that part about the copyright with Young Money and how they cut him right out of there. They cut Weezy right out. And he found these people. So, I mean, I know it's ruthless in business, but that's heartless, you know? And this story is, you know, it's one-sided also, because there's a lot of information that's out there that, you know, I probably don't have. I'm coming from one perspective, and that's Weezy versus Cash Money. And there's two sides to every story. So you might want to check on the Cash Money side and see what they have to say about it, you know, since then. But yeah, Weezy settled for undisclosed amount of money, and they won the case. So Universal is going to handle all of their music from now on, not Cash Money. Okay, that's one thing. That's one thing that Weezy wanted too, because, you know, both disputes, when they settled them, he wanted to end his relationship with Cash Money. He wanted Young Money to end their relationship with Cash Money, and he wants all of the copyrights from all of their music, his and Young Money, so that they could, you know, get paid the right way. Okay? So, my question to the Art Talk family and the audience here is, do you think Weezy was wrong for waiting so long to sue them? And what do you think the reasons were that he waited so long? Because something was holding him up. Do you think he was scared? He was operating off of fear of Birdman and his influence and his power and him being, you know, allegedly a gang member or, you know, whatever? Do you think that affected Weezy's decision in this case, in this situation? Get in the comments and let me know. I'm going to have a poll on here when I post it to YouTube. I'm going to put a poll in there asking a question about, you know, what do you think affected him and took him so long and affected his decision to leave Cash Money. And finally, too, like you see, he did bad deals, what we were just talking about. He did bad deals prior, a bunch of them, in my humble opinion. And, you know, he never left. So it was only recently, you know, that he, you know, got to the point where And also, do you think that was due to people being in his ear? Like, if he never had those youngins with him and Young Money or Drake or anything, do you think he still would have been with Birdman and him? What do you think? I want you to let me know in the comments, okay? And don't let this affect your opinion about Wayne or Nicki or Drake or Young Money or anybody, even Cash Money. I want you to research on your own and see what's going on and how you feel. But the fear part has something to do with the shootings and stuff, I think. You know, so the shooting that happened to his tour bus that people say allegedly Birdman had set up and tried to put a hit on him. And that conversation we were talking about earlier, that Birdman was allegedly, you know, talking to the shooter, talking to the hitter on the phone about coming to get his money for shooting that Lilwayne tour bus. Do y'all believe that? Or what? So, y'all let me know what's really going on with Weezy, okay? And I hope y'all enjoyed this installment of Art Talk. And this was about Lil Wayne, Weezy, or Tunchi, whatever you want to call them, today. Thank you for joining me. This is Kevalone, your art instructor at Art Talk with Kevalone at YouTube.com. That's the home of all these videos. If you want to email me, you want to make a donation, go to YouTube. You'll see the buttons. You can email me also. We can set up private classes. I'm at Kevalone, Kevalone at gmail.com. Alright? And you can communicate with me. We can set up any details you like. If you want to book me for a party or anything like that, just hit me up. Alright? And I hope you enjoyed this. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Everybody be safe and happy airbrushing to you. Peace.